the one with no name, yet so many names. The great beast, the eternal creature, the ancient dweller, the two-headed abomination, the mind stealer, the devourer of brains, the hidden monstrosity, the sand flayer, the mirage, the dream serpent, the great worm. It slowly begins emerging from the darkness. This entire space, this cavern, it feels off. Something isn't right about this place. It's all abnormal, non-Euclidean, and loathsomely redolent of spheres and dimensions apart from ours. In this fantasy of prismatic distortion, it moved anonymously in a diagonal way, so that all the rules of matter and perspective seemed upset. This hulking beast moves with more agility and grace than you could ever imagine for something of this size. It is massive. The very ground shakes and rumbles with each step of its mighty feet. It is covered in sand and debris, and the claws cut into the ground below as it walks. It must be at least as long as the span of a good shot from a heavy crossbow, or the length of perhaps 5 elephants lined up, trunk to tail. It would take 2 fireballs to cover the beast's entire body, but even then, the tail would be missed. It stands nearly as tall as 5 men, and it sees you staring, and spreads its wings as if to show you its full imposing size, wings that span what must be over half of its length. The wings look dry and tattered in places. They do not look like the wings of a bird or a dragon. They look more like sails or kites unfurling along the length of its body. Long rows of spines from heads to tail of this reptilian titan, with leather webbed between them forming the sails of its wings. Near the shoulders these spines are longer and covered in thick, powerful muscles. When not displayed, the wings either stick straight up, protecting from aerial attack, or can be tucked close to the body. What creature has long frill-like wings such as this? This ancient dweller, as the survivors called it, looks almost like it is 2 dragons fused together, with its body being a dusk mahogany, the deep brown of fertile earth, and one head resembling a black dragon with its horns, with a rich ebony color, that midnight black of a raven's feathers. The other head being a bilious purple hue, long and slender, covered in spines and spikes, matching those on the rest of its body. The necks are long and serpentine, giving the creature the ability to focus its attention on objects on either side of it at the same time. The skin on some areas of the beast is just gone, scales missing, even some bones showing through. It looks like it is not quite alive anymore, yet here it is, staring at you. Is this a dragon? Is this some kind of created abomination? Is this some creature from another world? You have never heard of a dragon or anything else that looks like this. Oh, and its faces. Those enormous faces. The black head might look something like a dragon, but that is no ordinary dragon maw and the usual razor-sharp teeth. This beast has 6 exceptionally long, twisting tentacles where the mouths should be. Those faces, those heads, seem very much like a beast from the sea. A squid, perhaps? Or rather, 2. All writhing tentacles and sleek shapes with the addition of spines and horns. On top of its heads are 2 appendages each, tentacle or stalk-like, several feet long, with eyes on the ends like you might see on a snail or a slug. Its eyes have no color and no pupil. They are just bloated, milky, bone-white orbs, and they seem to lack eyelids. Just endlessly swiveling and bending around, staring. As it strides your direction, you can see the muscles under its scaly skin ripple and pulse. 4 long, powerful legs support its massive body, and on the feet are dark claws as long as your arm, and they look sharp and nimble too. As it walks, you can see those claws gripping stones. It appears that those front feet are more like dexterous, gripping, grappling hands, picking up huge stones and tossing them aside. Its tail, too, had the spines and sails of the rest of its body. The ancient dweller raises its tail over its back. You hear a sound reminiscent of flesh being torn apart. A ripping, squelching wet sound as folds of flesh and scale split apart to reveal 4 thin tentacles that surge out, each tipped with a terrifying scorpion-like stinger and dripping with a greenish, viscous, mucus-like substance. The end of its tail just flayed open like a flower. As the creature approaches you, those tentacles whip and writhe around it in an unnaturally deadly precision. The thing reeks of acid and decay and dirt. It smells of undeath. That chaotic, nauseous reek is unnatural and unholy. What is this creature? Why does it seem to be controlling every living thing in here? This beast is genuinely like nothing you have ever seen. It is beyond description using normal vernacular. The colossal, tentacled mutant, the detestable deformity, is an unclean, sacrilegious degeneration. It could not have been simply born. It must have been created by some unholy means. Its design is turbulent anarchy. As a terrifying roar comes from both heads at once, its tentacles held up so that you can see the ends. You get a view of the ends of those tentacles, and it seems like each ends in a mouth, like a lamprey. A large oral sucking disc filled with sharp, horn-shaped teeth surrounding a razor-sharp, rasping tongue. That roar is unlike anything your ears have encountered before. It is utterly unlike anything that could be formed by a humanoid's throat. Your adrenaline begins to surge as the very ground shakes with the rage of that sound. Every other being in this cavern begins to back away out of sight, each one giving a reverent bow as they do so. Your ears begin to ring and throb with the torrent of the ungodly, howling, bellowing roar. The sinister resonance of the beast has struck your ears like a wall of pain. You instinctively clutch your ears. You want it to stop, but the pain isn't stopping. Your lungs feel out of breath. Your heart trembles. Your knees weaken. Your whole being wants to coil into itself and hide away from this onslaught of sound. You can feel your equipment vibrating, as if even these inanimate objects are feeling the pain of this tremendous, toral shaking roar. It isn't just the torturous volume of the sound. There is something unnatural in the way you feel, like it's warping your very mind. As you struggle to hold on to your sanity, a shiver runs up your spine as you feel that roar, just as much as you hear it. You seem to be able to feel it in your very soul, and you have doubts whether you will ever be able to hear anything ever again.